Okay, tonight I'm going to show you how to make beer cheese. This is a Kentucky beer cheese. You know, it's a regional kind of thing. It actually originated supposedly in the town we're in, so that's kind of exciting to know about. This is, we're going to use a food processor for this, so if you don't have a food processor, you may have difficulty making it. I don't know how you would make it without a food processor. Blender I don't think would work. You need 1.5 pounds of Sharp Cheddar. Normally I would have bought all Kraft, but Walmart did not have any Sharp Cheddar cheese except for this one block. So I got a block of this, and we'll see how it works. I figure if this is 1 pound, this is 1/2 pound. Even if this is not quite as good, this will overcome the not as goodness. So anyway, you need 1.5 pounds of cheese. You can scale it up and down wherever you want to. It's whatever you want to do. You need cayenne pepper, Worcestershire, you know, that kind of sauce. Whatever way you say it. And you need some garlic powder. And you could do fresh garlic if you wanted to, but you have to mince it very, very finely because you don't want a bite of garlic with this. You just want just the flavor. So we'll use the garlic powder. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shred my cheese. And we need beer. It's not beer cheese without beer. We just bought Budweiser just because I like the flavor of it better than most of the other beers. You could go with whatever beer you want to. You could probably even go with light beer. Honestly, it's just the flavor you want. It has to be stale. You want to sit it out. We actually opened these up last night, and we opened them and just let them sit on the cabinet. They still had a little fizz to them. I mean, not a lot, but they had a little bit of fizz to them, and that's okay if you got a little fizz, but you don't want it really, really foamy when you put it in. So let it go as flat as you can, and let it be at room temperature when you use it. So now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shred my cheese. I use the medium shredding blade for this, and I don't think this whole thing will, but I have to use I might be able to do that. But anyway, I'm going to shred my cheese, and I'm sure Tammy will tape a minute of it, but that's what I'm going to do first. Okay, I had to cut that big block long ways to fit in the small because the big mouth wouldn't quite fit. So. And I found if you get some cheese up in here, it's okay, because we're going to basically puree this anyway, so it's okay. So I'm going to take this out and dump it into just a bowl until I put my other blade in there, and then I'll put it back in there. Okay, like I said, I just want to get that in there just long enough for me to I'm just going to basically put it back in there once I put this other blade in there. You want your multi-purpose blade on the bottom. And now I'm going to put the cheese back in there. And I don't know if I'll be able to do all of it or not. It depends on how much cheese you make. If I can get most of it in there, then that's fine. You probably don't want to fill up more than 3/4 full of cheese. So we'll see how much cheese I can get in there. I'm going to have and put it all in there. Just, that way I don't have to worry about my spices too much, measuring them out. So I think it'll be good. Put your lid back on. Pick up any little cheeses that you drop on the counter there. Okay, now I'm going to turn this on high. I'll probably have to hold it for a while because it's so dry. It's going to like shimmy and shake a lot. So don't be surprised by doing that. Now that we'll be taking off the counter. Okay, I'm going to scrape it down because you can see it balled up in like a big ball of cheese. Okay. All right, the next thing I'm going to do before I turn it back on is I'm going to go ahead and put about half my beer in there. I've got 1 1/3 cups, so 1 1/3 cup of beer. I've got a little bit left over just in case this is not quite enough to get it to the right texture you want. So I'm going to put it just about half. It doesn't have to be exact, just, you know, kind of guesstimate. Give that cheese something to kind of liquefy with, because if you don't, it's just gonna be in a ball forever. So turn it back on high. And wait until it kind of liquefies in the bottom. And you can see what it kind of smoothed out. I'll show you. I'll take the lid off so you can kind of see. See how it smoothed out some? It's not quite as big lump as it was. And now I'm going to get my seasonings out. I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And again, for every half pound, put 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. So if you put 2 full pounds, you would do 4 tablespoons. So for this one, since I'm using 1.5 pounds, I'm going to use 3 tablespoons. And I'll put the recipe down in the bottom. Actually, in the description, I might actually say for every half pound, use this much. That way it'll be a little easier to figure out. And now I'm going to turn it back on low and be letting it mix up when I put the dry seasonings in. So just put it on low. Wait to see if that ball of cheese gets sucked in. That's not. I go in there and scrape it in 2 then. Take my spatula. There's like one big ball of cheese here, and I'm having to kind of break it up because it kind of got all. You can see it really didn't get any of the beer mixed in with it, so. It doesn't like batches like this. Okay, the next thing we have is cayenne pepper, and I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of this in. If you want it hotter, you can go more. If you want less heat, you can go less. But it's a good mix right now with 2. So I've got a half teaspoon here, so I'm going to put 4 half teaspoons in. Then I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of garlic salt or garlic powder, and then another 1.5 teaspoon of garlic powder. So it ends up being like what 1, 2, 3, 4.5 teaspoons. So whatever way you want to do it. Yeah, 1 tablespoon, and then 1.5 teaspoons. And then let me scrape it down again. You can see that ball pretty much got sucked down inside there, but I also have some stuck in my lid, so I'm going to rake it off. Just where it was in that big ball, it kind of stuck itself up there. Seems like a lot of trouble, but trust me, it's worth it. It's really, really good. And I'll get a spoon in a second to clean this spatula off, but for right now I just want to put a little bit more of my beer in there to get the texture right, and then turn on high again. And it sounds awful. So what I'll have to do is go scrape it down again. Down the sides, clean my spatula. There was still some thick areas on the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat that about 4 or 5 times. I'll turn it off, scrape it down, make sure the thick parts are kind of in the bottom, and then turn on high for another few minutes and scrape it down until it's all pretty creamy and smooth. So I'm just going to keep doing that, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all smooth, consistent. Okay, I got the right consistency. It's all smooth. There's no big clumps. I mean, there may be some clumps, but that's okay. So I'm going to take this off. push that out of the way and unplug it. And I'm going to take this blade out, and it's got cheese all over it, so you're just going to get gross. And take your rubber spatula and just kind of scrape it all. But you can see the consistency. It's kind of smooth, like it reminds me of a really thick pancake batter. I don't know, what would you describe that as?
Pancake batter is good.
Yeah, it's a little thicker than pancake batter, but it's pretty close to pancake batter. And what happens is when you put it in the refrigerator, it will actually cool off a little bit more, and it'll thicken up some. So I'm just going to stick this in a bowl, and it's going to go bye-bye. But you can kind of see that's about the consistency you're looking for. And there's no huge lumps. Like I said, there might be a few lumps here and there, but it's not too bad. This is just to let you know, this is a 13-cup food processor, and we did 1.5 pounds of cheese. If you have a smaller food processor, you might want to stick to half-pound batches because this filled it up pretty full when it was going. So it was more difficult to deal with if you have a small one. I don't think you can fit it all. So let me wash this cheese and take this bowl over here, and I'll show you how we put it in bowls. The containers we use are these little mini round bowls. Glad makes them. I think Ziploc makes them. Just whoever you want to buy from. If you want bigger batches to eat at home, you could put them in a big storage bowl. That would be fine too. It's whatever you want. There's 8 of these in a package though, and I think they were like, I don't know, $2.50, or they were less than $3 for 8 little balls. Those actually might be smaller than the ones that we're used to. Are those about the same size?
They're a little small.
They're a little smaller. But you know what? These are really good. I wouldn't even be able to portion out as far as calories go. There's no way to do that. But this would be a good, okay, take just this and eat it with crackers at night. And don't eat any more, and at least you wouldn't go over the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these and actually I could probably use a spoon since these are smaller. Can you give me a spoon? I got a spoon. The bigger bowls, you can just take that spatula and just rake it right in there. For this one, I'm going to have to use a spoon for it. And notice I didn't use my extra beer either. I just used that 1 1/3. 1 1/3 cup of beer. We filled up 7 and maybe a half containers, so that's good. Of course, I left some in there, some in the bowl. We eat ours, put them in the refrigerator when you get done doing this. That lets them set up, firm up. They won't be that, I mean, they were pretty good consistency anyway, but they'll thicken up even more, and you'll use a knife to spread them. It's a really good cheese spread. These would be great for a party. You could put it out with a dipper and put it out, and people could get it on their plates. Super Bowl's coming up. Be an awesome time to serve this to guests at Super Bowl in a bowl. You'll knock their socks off if you make this. But we serve it with either Zesta crackers, just regular saltine crackers, or Ritz crackers. I personally prefer the Ritz because they're a butterier flavor. These are like just, they're bland, but you can taste a lot more with a dip. And me personally, I like about that much cheese for an entire cracker, maybe a little bit more than that. But that's a pretty good amount. And good stuff. I just want to show you what it looks like. This has been in there about 15-20 minutes, and it's the texture of a really thick, I don't know, like a pudding almost. I don't know what other way to describe it, but it's a really good cheese spread. Spread it on a cracker and just eat the whole thing.